good evening. Tonight, we're traveling more than 1,000 years into the frozen lands of medieval Scandinavia, a place where towering pine forests stretch beyond the horizon, icy winds never seem to rest, and survival depended on far more than courage. So before you settle in, take a slow, comfortable breath, relax your shoulders, let your thoughts drift away, and imagine yourself waking in the life of an ordinary Viking, not a legendary warrior, not a famous king, not the fearless hero from stories. Just another person trying to survive another freezing day. The first thing you notice is not the light. It is the cold. Even before your eyes fully open, you can feel it creeping through every crack in the wooden walls of the longhouse. The fire in the center of the room has burned low during the night, leaving only glowing embers beneath a blanket of gray ash. The air smells of smoke, damp wood, sheep's wool, and yesterday's stew. Around you, dozens of people are still asleep. Grandparents, parents, children, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. Even a few farm animals are resting inside the same building, sharing their warmth with the family through the endless northern winter. Privacy does not exist here. Silence barely exists either. Someone coughs. A baby cries softly. A sheep shifts in its sleep. Outside, the wind whistles across the frozen hills. This is your home, and it has always been your home. Your bed is nothing more than a pile of straw covered with rough animal skins. Comfortable mattresses are centuries away. Every morning your back aches before the day has even begun. You stretch slowly, careful not to wake the younger children sleeping beside you. The fire needs attention. Without it, everyone will freeze. One member of the family kneels beside the hearth, carefully feeding small sticks into the glowing coals until tiny orange flames slowly return to life. Soon the warmth spreads across the room. Only a little, just enough to remind everyone that winter has not won yet. Outside, dawn is arriving, but the sun offers no comfort. The northern sky is pale gray, hidden behind thick clouds that seem determined to stay forever. Snow covers almost everything. The trees, the rooftops, the fences, even the boats resting along the shoreline wear blankets of white ice. You step outside. Immediately, freezing air bites your face. Your breath becomes a cloud before disappearing into the morning. There is no time to admire the landscape. There is work waiting. There is always work waiting. Many people imagine Vikings spent every day sailing across the sea searching for treasure. The truth is much less exciting. Most Vikings were farmers. Growing food mattered far more than fighting battles. Without successful harvests, no family survived the winter. You walk toward the animal pens. The cows need feeding. The goats are already awake. The chickens scratch beneath patches of snow searching for anything edible. Every animal represents survival. Milk, eggs, meat, leather. Without them, life becomes almost impossible. You carry heavy buckets of water that have already begun freezing around the edges. Your fingers quickly become numb. There are no warm gloves, no waterproof boots. Only thick wool wrapped tightly around your feet beneath leather shoes. They help, but not enough. Breakfast is simple, very simple. A bowl of barley porridge, a piece of dark bread, perhaps some dried fish if your family has enough. Fresh fruit? Almost never. Sugar? Unknown. Coffee? Not for another 700 years. Luxury does not belong in your world. Every bite has one purpose, keeping you alive. After breakfast, the real work begins. Wood must be chopped, fences repaired, fishing nets inspected, tools sharpened. Every hour matters because daylight disappears quickly during northern winters. If something breaks today, it might cost someone their life tomorrow. As you swing your axe into frozen logs, your hands sting from the cold. The rhythm becomes almost hypnotic. Swing, crack, lift, swing again, hour after hour. No one complains. Complaining changes nothing. Everyone understands life has always been difficult. Children are already helping despite being very young. A 7-year-old gathers sticks. A 10-year-old carries water. Teenagers work almost as hard as adults. Childhood, as we know it today, barely exists. Every pair of hands is valuable. Every person must contribute. Around midday, clouds darken. Snow begins falling once more. Soft flakes drift silently from the sky. Beautiful, peaceful, yet dangerous. Heavy snowfall can trap families inside their home for days. Travel becomes impossible. Food supplies disappear faster than expected. One harsh winter can destroy years of careful planning. As afternoon arrives, someone spots strangers approaching across the frozen path. Everyone pauses. Visitors are unusual. Friends, merchants, travelers, or enemies? No one knows. Weapons remain nearby. Not because people love violence, because uncertainty is part of daily life. Fortunately, today's visitors bring news instead of trouble. A nearby settlement plans a gathering before spring. There will be trading, stories, music, perhaps even marriages arranged between families. These moments matter. Life in medieval Scandinavia is isolated. Many villages see few outsiders during long winters. When travelers arrive, they bring more than goods. They bring news from distant lands, rumors of kings, stories of England, whispers about Ireland, tales of rich monasteries across the sea. You listen quietly. Some young men smile. Adventure sounds exciting. Gold sounds exciting. Glory sounds exciting. But older villagers remain silent. They know something the younger generation has yet to learn. Every ship that sails away does not return. Storms claim many. Disease claims others. War claims the rest. The sea is generous only in stories. Reality is colder, much colder. As evening slowly approaches, darkness returns far earlier than you wish. Another day's work is finished. For now, tomorrow will look almost exactly the same. And the day after that, and the day after that, because surviving as a Viking was never about becoming famous. It was about making it through one more winter, one more storm, one more freezing night. As a fire crackles softly inside the longhouse once again, you wrap yourself in thick wool blankets. Outside, snow continues falling across the silent forests of Scandinavia. The cold world grows quiet. The wind whispers through the trees. And somewhere beyond the dark horizon, the sea waits, waiting patiently for the day you leave the safety of home and discover that surviving the ocean may be even harder than surviving the land. The next morning arrives long before you are ready. The cold has never truly left the longhouse. The fire kept everyone alive through the night, but it could not keep everyone warm. You wake to the sound of boots moving across the wooden floor and quiet voices speaking in the dim light. Today feels different. There is a strange energy in the village. Men are checking ropes. Others are sharpening axes, not for chopping wood this time, but for the journey ahead. Outside, the long ship rests beside the frozen shoreline, waiting like a patient animal. You have seen it many times before. Its long wooden body, carefully built from oak, has carried people across dangerous waters for years. Today, for the first time, you will step aboard. You tell yourself that this is an adventure. The older people say nothing. Their silence says enough. They know the sea has a way of humbling even the strongest people. Before sunrise, everyone gathers near the shore. Families embrace one another without many words. Goodbyes are never dramatic here. They cannot be. If every farewell ended in tears, there would be little time left for living. Your mother places a small carved piece of wood into your hand. It is simple, smooth from years of being carried. She says it will remind you of home. Whether it truly brings luck does not matter. What matters is remembering what you're trying to return to. The longship slides into the dark water. Dozens of hands push together until the hull begins to float. One by one, the crew climbs aboard. You find your place on a narrow wooden bench. There are no comfortable seats, no shelter from the wind, no warm cabin waiting below. Only open sky, cold water, and a very long journey. The sail rises slowly. For a moment, everything is quiet. Then the wind catches a cloth. The ship begins to move. At first, the sea seems calm. Gentle waves lift the vessel up and down like slow breathing. You almost begin to relax. Then the shoreline grows smaller. The familiar mountains disappear behind a curtain of mist. Now there is only water, endless water. Hours pass. Your arms ache from rowing. Every movement must stay in rhythm with the rest of the crew. If one person slows down, everyone feels it. There is little conversation. Energy is too valuable to waste. The captain studies the sky more than the sea. He watches the clouds, the birds, the direction of the wind. Without maps or modern instruments, nature is the only guide. By the second day, the weather begins to change. The wind grows stronger. Dark clouds gather overhead. The calm sea disappears. The first heavy wave crashes across the side of the ship, soaking everyone instantly. Cold water runs into your boots. Your hands become stiff. Rain quickly turns into icy sleet. The longship rises sharply, then drops into the next wave. Your stomach twists. Several crew members become seasick. There is nowhere to hide, no dry place, no escape. You simply endure. The captain shouts orders. Everyone rows harder, not because they want to move faster, because stopping could leave the ship at the mercy of the storm. The sea does not care how brave you are. It does not care how skilled you are. It treats everyone the same. As night falls, the storm grows even louder. Thunder rolls across the sky. Lightning briefly reveals mountains of water surrounding the ship. For a single heartbeat, you see every frightened face. Then darkness returns. You silently wonder if you will ever see home again. Morning finally arrives. The storm has passed. The sea is quieter now, but it has taken something from everyone. Food stores are wet. One or has broken. Several men are injured. Everyone is exhausted. This is only the beginning of the journey. Days later, a cry comes from the front of the ship. Land! At first, you see nothing. Then, slowly, a dark line appears on the horizon. As the ship moves closer, cliffs rise from the sea. Small buildings can be seen in the distance. Thin trails of smoke drift into the sky. You have reached the coast of England. The stories were true. But standing on the deck, looking at an unfamiliar land, you do not feel excitement. You feel uncertainty. What waits beyond that shoreline? Trade? Opportunity? Or another struggle for survival? The ship slows as it approaches a quiet inlet. No one speaks. Every person understands that stepping onto this shore may change their life forever. You take a slow breath. The cold air fills your lungs once again. Behind you lies the home you have always known. Ahead of you lies a world filled with unknown dangers. And deep inside, you begin to realize something that no story ever mentioned. The greatest challenge of being a Viking was never becoming famous. It was surviving long enough to return home. The morning is quiet, far quieter than you expected. A thin layer of mist hangs over the English shoreline, softening the shape of the hills beyond. The longship rocks gently as the tide carries it toward a narrow beach. For a few moments, no one moves. You can hear only the waves brushing against the wooden hull and the distant cries of seabirds. The captain raises a hand. It is time. You step into the cold water and pull the ship onto the shore with the rest of the crew. Your boots sink into wet sand, and the unfamiliar ground feels strangely soft after days at sea. Everything around you is different. The trees are different. The smell of the air is different. Even the silence feels different. You're no longer in Scandinavia. Ahead lies a small farming settlement. Smoke rises from a handful of wooden homes. A few sheep wander across the fields. From this distance, it looks peaceful, almost ordinary. You remember the stories told back home. They spoke of rich lands filled with silver, fine cloth, and overflowing storehouses. Reality looks much simpler. The captain reminds everyone that food is just as valuable as treasure. Grain, salt, tools, iron. These are often worth more than gold to people struggling through long northern winters. As the group walks forward, your heart beats a little faster. Not because you are eager for glory, because you have never stood in a place where every face is unfamiliar. The villagers notice your arrival. Some freeze where they stand. Others quickly gather children and hurry toward the woods. Fear spreads faster than words. No battle has begun, yet everyone understands what strangers can mean in this age. The captain speaks firmly. He wants supplies. If they are given peacefully, there may be no reason for bloodshed. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it does not. History often remembers only the battles. It rarely remembers the quiet negotiations that prevented them. You help carry sacks of grain toward the ship. Heavy barrels of dried fish follow. Bundles of wool are stacked carefully beside them. Hours pass. The work is slow. No songs are sung. No one celebrates. This is not the glorious adventure you imagined as a child. It feels more like hard labor in a different country. As the sun begins to lower, tension suddenly fills the air. A horn echoes from somewhere beyond the hills. Then another. The villagers were not alone. A group of armed men appears in the distance. Perhaps local guards. Perhaps warriors from a nearby lord. Whatever they are moving quickly. The captain wastes no time. Back to the ship. Everyone grabs what they can carry. The peaceful morning disappears. Boots pound across the wet ground. The waves seem louder now. The distance to the shoreline suddenly feels much longer than before. An arrow lands in the sand several steps away. Then another. No one stops. Your arms ache as you push the long ship back into deeper water. The tide is against you. For a terrifying moment, it seems the ship will not move. Then little by little it begins to float. Everyone climbs aboard as quickly as possible. The oars strike the water. Once, twice, again. The shoreline slowly begins to drift away. The arrows can no longer reach you. No one cheers. No one laughs. The danger may be over, but something has changed inside you. That evening, the crew sits quietly beneath the fading sky. One man wraps a bandage around his arm where an arrow grazed him. Another stares silently at the sea. Even the captain speaks very little. You finally understand something that stories never mention. Most Viking journeys were not endless battles. They were long days of rowing, careful decisions, cold nights, hard work, and constant uncertainty. As darkness covers the sea once again, stars begin to appear above the ship. Someone quietly tells an old story about Odin, the wise wanderer who sacrificed much in search of knowledge. Another speaks of Thor, hoping the mighty god will keep storms away on the journey home. Whether these gods truly watch over the ship, no one can say, but believing gives people strength. Sometimes that is enough. You pull your cloak tighter around your shoulders. The wind is growing colder again. Home is still many days away, and you now realize that surviving this journey depends not on being the strongest, but on being patient, on working together, on respecting a sea that never promises mercy. The waves continue their endless rhythm beneath the longship, forward, always forward, into another cold night beneath the northern sky. The sea is quieter now, not because it has become kinder, but because you have learned to understand it. Each morning begins the same way. The sound of water against the wooden hull, the creak of the mast, the steady rhythm of oars cutting to the cold northern sea. Days blend together until you almost forget which one it is. The excitement that filled your heart when you first left home has disappeared. In its place is something much simpler, the hope of seeing your family again. The captain watches the horizon with experienced eyes. He says very little. A good leader knows that confidence spreads more easily than fear. Even when he is worried, he never allows it to show. The weather remains unpredictable. One morning the sea is calm enough to reflect the clouds like polished glass. By afternoon, sharp winds return without warning. The crew works together without needing many words. Everyone knows their place. Everyone understands their responsibility. If even one person becomes careless, the sea notices. After many long days, something familiar finally appears. Dark mountains, snow-covered forests, the rocky coastline of Scandinavia. Home. No one shouts. No one celebrates wildly. Instead, a quiet smile appears on tired faces. For the first time in many weeks, you feel safe. The longship slides onto the shore where your journey first began. Children run toward the beach. Dogs bark happily. Families search every face, hoping to find the people they have missed. Then, you see your own family. Your mother steps forward first. She says nothing. She simply places her hand on your shoulder. That simple touch says more than words ever could. You are home, but you are not the same person who left. You have seen distant lands. You have crossed dangerous seas. You have learned that survival depends less on strength and more on patience. Life quickly returns to its familiar rhythm. The animals still need feeding. Wood still needs cutting. Fishing nets still need repairing. Winter does not care where you've been. It only asks one question. Are you prepared? Soon, the first heavy snowfall arrives. The village becomes quieter. Families remain inside their longhouses for longer each day. Stories become the evening's entertainment. Old men tell tales of famous explorers. Grandmothers teach children old songs that have been remembered for generations. Someone repairs a broken shield. Another sharpens farming tools for spring. Life continues, not with glory, but with routine. You begin to understand that this quiet life is the real heart of Viking society. History often remembers great battles. Movies remember fearless warriors. But ordinary people built the farms, raised the children, repaired the ships, cooked the meals, and kept entire communities alive. Without them, there would have been no Viking age. As the longest nights of winter arrive, the northern sky sometimes comes alive with dancing green lights. The elders watch them silently. Some believe they are messages from the gods. Others simply admire their beauty. You stand outside your longhouse, wrapped in a heavy wool cloak. The cold air fills your lungs. Above you, thousands of stars shine brighter than you have ever noticed before. The world feels enormous, and yet your small village is enough. You think back to the day you first stepped onto the longship. You believe survival depended on bravery. Now you know something different. Real courage was waking before sunrise every day, working until your hands ached, sharing food when supplies were low, protecting your family through endless winters, beginning again every single morning. That was the true challenge. Not becoming famous, not becoming wealthy, simply surviving. The fire inside the longhouse burns warmly tonight. Outside, snow falls gently across the silent forest. The sea that once frightened you now rests peacefully beneath the moonlight. Tomorrow will bring more work. Another cold sunrise, another ordinary day. And perhaps that ordinary day is the greatest victory of all. So as the wind whispers softly through the pine trees, and the fire slowly fades into glowing embers, allow your thoughts to drift like snowflakes across the quiet northern sky. Leave behind the storms, the longship, the endless sea, and rest here for a little while in the peaceful silence of medieval Scandinavia. Good night.